So I'm going to be working here on my outline for my poem, which is Because I Could Not Stop for Death. And I was trying to think of a hook that I think I'm going to use. And the first thing that came to mind was the idea that it is inevitable that every person will die someday. So some way to grip my reader and talk about the idea of death in a more general sense. And then for my transition, I'm going to introduce my author, so Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson's poem, and I'm just going to shorten this to Because, to leave me some space. Because I Could Not Stop for Death presents a morbid vocab word view of afterlife, maybe. So I think that's where I'm going to go with that. And then my thesis statement is Dickinson warns her readers about oncoming death by personifying the character of death and by using dashes to create the narrator's voice. This is where I'm going to find the topic of my body paragraph is right here in my thesis statement, by personifying the character of death. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out from my thesis and put it here, that Dickinson uses personification to create a realistic picture of death as a person, maybe something like that. So that's where I got my topics, and it's right from my thesis. And then the quote I'm going to use for this is the first two lines of the poem. Because I could not stop for death. And then I use the slash mark there because that's how I show the line break. He kindly stopped for me. And that's where I'm going to close my quotation marks. And that, again, shows the line break there, so that dash there, and or a slash. And then when you look at the next line, it says, analyze specific language from the quote. So I'm going to take the word he right from the quote and talk about that in this line and put it in quotation marks here. He is used to portray the character of death as he picks up the narrator. So that's the main point I'm going to talk about when analyzing the actual language. So I want to find a specific word or phrase within the quote and bring it down here and analyze that language. And then for these main points, I'm going to talk about the other couple things that I'm going to mention in this paragraph, such as how she capitalizes throughout to kind of show the personification. And how she uses a couple of different other words, like she capitalizes civility and immortality. And so those are two things that I'm going to talk about with this paragraph. And then I just come down here and I'm looking for my other focus, which I'm going to pull straight from my thesis again. And this time I'm looking for the dashes, using dashes to create the narrator's voice. Pull that from my thesis, move it right down into the topic sentence. And then I'll tell you about the rest on the next video.